Right. Let's kick things off. Let's have a little bit more chat while we're waiting for people and like to kick things off, right? About like this whole Web3 space, and of course DeFiner, Tristan, and of course from Huobi, right? All of us are working together with Polygon. I guess this is a fantastic moment for us to share, and then just join us together right in this moment. Maybe we'll kick things off. Let's start with having maybe Stefanie first, because Stefanie is from Huobi. She's a guest in this session as well. Maybe Stefanie can introduce herself.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Stefanie. It's nice to be here again, and I'm a researcher from Huobi Research. And Huobi Research is a professional research institute, and we have deep dived for the crypto industry for many years. And I think today's conversation will be very interesting and meaningful because we were talking about what's going on and what we can do in Web3. So I just can't wait to hear our guests and discuss with them.
All right, thank you very much, Stefanie. Right, good to have you on board here today. Maybe Jeral, maybe you can maybe introduce yourself briefly to the community here.
Yes, of course. Well, as you know, I'm Jeral. I am Customer Success Manager at DeFiner, and I'm very happy to be here. Hi to you all. Thanks for being here. DeFiner is a DeFi lending protocol. Who we are, DeFiner stands for, have two kind of words there. We have DeFi and then NER, which stands for Decentralized Finance Innovator. And as I said, a DeFi lending protocol that we just cross-chain to Polygon. And yeah, we're building a next generation of product, which is like the next generation of DeFi product with DeFiner 2.0. And maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper into that later into the conversation. But I'm very grateful to be here and being able to. Hello?
Yeah, continue. Tristan, yeah, we can hear you. I'll invite you to speak in a while. Yep, continue. Yeah, Jeral.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm very grateful to be here and being able to kind of bounce ideas off of each other, learn about Web3 and what can we can bring to the table to make sure that this stays secure, decentralized, and in a way giving that power as a DeFi lending protocol, financial power back to the people with this technology.
Of course, Web3 is about inclusion. You can actually help more people to get into finance, get into the inclusion, right? To get more people to participate in this movement. This is what we are looking for, right? Definitely.
Definitely.
Thanks for the introduction. Hey, Lin, I'm trying to pronounce your name correctly, right? So, Tristan, Prashant, Linikol, Prashant, right? Yeah. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes. So I'm overseeing community operation marketing for Tristan over 2 years. I'm really glad to be here or Tristan. We are working towards making Web 3.0 more accessible to people out there by simplifying the login process or just taking down the hurdles in general.
Definitely. How do the rest of the the participants in here just refer to your name and how do, can you tell a little bit more about yourself? Maybe where are you from? Where is the project from, etc. Prashant.
Yeah, so we are over a team of 100 members, and I'm personally from India, but we are all over the globe, and we have been working on this project for over a year, and it has changed a lot of direction. And right now, the whole project is about making the DeFi space as accessible. Like, when you're trying to get into any Web 3.0 app, you need the whole wallet thing, and for a lot of users who are new into this space, it just becomes daunting. And when we were thinking on what we wish to solve it with it, because from our background of our team is like, let me give you a background of our team first, because a lot of because I think the company as a company or startup are just some of culture and ethos and vision of the founders. So before founding the Tristan, our team co-founded consumer electronic business, and we were specialized in providing tech solution, e-commerce, and fintech solution over Southeast Asia and South Asia. So we all had this common interest in gaming and blockchain space. So our vision is just reflection to that, and Tristan is the answer. We're trying to bring our insight into consumer behavior to capture market space of Web 2.0 and are making product that would allow an easy transition for those users to Web 3.0 era. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, definitely. We will dive deeper in a while to actually ask you more questions, about like, what you guys doing at, Tristan. I think it's a very advanced, you got to make it slightly easy for the rest of the community here to understand, right? Which I think that you would able to do so in a while. All right. I think we are still waiting for Steven to join, but I guess that we can always start first, right? And we really have like the main panel here today. Yeah, we have a Q&A in here. I have like a long deep dive of questions, right, related to Polygon Studios, related to DeFiner, related to Tristan. But of course, our topic is always talking about like, in Web3, right? How does the building within the Polygon ecosystem or like any other chain, right, would actually, how do you benefit your consumers, your communities and your users, right? I think that is what a lot of people here want to learn more about your project, and hopefully this one will actually help them to understand more about what you do. And I think that this is a first good kickstart, right, with the partnership of Huobi Incubator together with Polygon Ecosystem, right? I think Polygon Studio Ecosystem, and this is what we actually wanted to get everyone to understand more about, what you guys are trying to do. Okay, let's dive slightly deeper, right? Let's start with like DeFiner first. From the project perspective, right? Could you tell us more, like, I mean, not technical detail, but really about your solution, about what DeFiner is about? Could you dive a little bit deeper so that the community here, I think we have a lot of people right now in the chat here. Maybe you can explain a little bit more clearly about what did you do, DeFiner?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Well, as I said at the beginning, right, we stand for Decentralized Finance Innovators, and we actually founded the project back in 2018. So it was like the very early stages of DeFi, and actually that was like the tail end of the ICO era, and we decided to go decentralized. Once you're in finance, you have two ways, right? Decentralized or decentralized. So we knew we had the vision of decentralization from the beginning, and that's when DeFiner was founded. Actually, we started off with a true peer-to-peer model, and then we slowly migrated into a pool model, which was what we have today. But right now, I mentioned earlier about our V2 product, but this is our next generation, which is truly a permissionless lending protocol. And the idea here is that anyone can come to DeFiner and create a debt market for their tokens. So you mentioned in your question, what's the issue, what's the problem that we're trying to solve here? And it is, the compounds and Aves of the world that when you look at the offerings out there of lending markets for crypto assets, you see that there is a limited offering, right? Like you go on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and you see there are almost 20,000 tokens out there. And when you look at the DeFi lending protocols that are in the market, what do you see? 40, 50 crypto assets that are have a debt market available. So which means that there are those long tail assets which have the potential, the ability to create those debt markets, and I know that not all of them have those high risks involved. That because the mainly the reason why we have so many and so few crypto assets with that market is because of the liquidation mechanism. But at DeFiner and with our second generation product, DeFiner 2.0, what we want to bring to the table, especially with Web3 and how that empowers people, is that more and more of these projects have the ability to create those lending markets based on different configurations. So it's very permissionless, configurable, and also having privacy on top of mind.
Yeah, great. Could you tell me a little bit more about, like, from the DeFiner point of view, right? I'm still trying to wrap my head against, like, the privacy and borrowing lending. And of course, what is the implication of this? Why would, that privacy and DeFiner would be really differentiated from, like, the other borrowing market or borrowing and lending market? Could you expand that a little bit more?
Yes, of course. So first of all, I just kind of want to kind of give you a picture of what we're trying to do or similar, something similar in the market. So the idea is that, just like anyone can go on Uniswap and create a trading pair, anyone can come to DeFiner and create their own lending pool. So, and this is going to come in stages. Like DeFiner 2.0 is a big project, and we're launching it in different stages. And actually, the first stage is coming up pretty soon, which is the creation of a child pool, which is kind of like a separate pool from our main savings pool. But like later on, we'll be adding, that completely configurable that market creation, and as you mentioned, the privacy features. The privacy features are key, and it's an option that users will have that will enable later on in the roadmap of our V2 product. And pretty much basically, and just to answer your question here, is that as we see in the landscape of DeFi, and not only DeFi, but the blockchain industry as a whole, we know that, comparing to ourselves to other DeFi lending protocols, that currently the transactions that you see are 100% public, right? Even addresses are not easily available, or attaching an identity to an address on the blockchain is not mission impossible to identify the users if they and their related data, right? So right now that's the situation that we see in the market. But you mentioned privacy and how we want to differentiate ourselves, and really what we believe is that we want to introduce a new privacy function, and this is with our V2 product, into our smart contract. And what this is going to do is basically enable anyone to transfer their balance within our contract without disclosing any destination address information, etc. So basically what this our lending contract will act as is a black box, and breaking that on-chain link between the deposits and the withdrawals, and users in the end will have 100% privacy and control of their accounts. So I think that privacy is a big part of what we believe in, and in achieving that true financial freedom, so that users can really trace, or actually having a traceless transactions if they choose to do it. So it's a function that they will be able to have that option with our V2 product.
Thanks for the explanation. Right, we will definitely deep dive a little bit down the road of later in the call. We have Steven here today. Steven, mind introducing yourself and what did you do? Could you expand that?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks very much, and good to be here. So my background previously was investment banking. In Australia, listed around 20 ASX companies. In 2017, I went deep into crypto. I was head of corporate for Australia's largest crypto investment bank, Digital X, listed on the Australian stock market. 2019, I moved in and did a lot of esports deals with top esports teams on their sponsorship deals. Around 9 months ago, I joined Polygon Studios to link up my gaming, investment, and crypto experience. I'm now heading Polygon Studios business development team. Polygon Studios is the NFT and gaming arm of Polygon, the head company being the Ethereum scaling solution. So that's a bit about me.
Thanks, Steven. Good brief background. When you just want to dive slightly deeper, right, into your role in the Polygon Studio and the verticals about what you are trying to do. Of course, in the next question I'll be asking about what Polygon Studio contributes to the Web3 movement. But before that, right, I just want to get slightly deeper into your role into Polygon Studio. How would that work out for rest of the community or the listeners here today or the other projects? Could you expand on that slightly?
Sure. So our role is to onboard developers onto Polygon. We help them with a number of areas. The first one being, we have our Polygon Studios investment fund, or the Polygon Ecosystem Fund. It's $100 million fund that we invest into Polygon projects only. So that's one arm we do. We also help projects within the tech integration side. So if you're looking at how you can integrate Polygon, what the best practice is, what the best tooling is, wallets. If you're wanting to speak to our tech team, we can set up a channel with you and they can work with you for all of those needs and requirements. We can then work through a marketing campaign with projects. So we help them to reach out to our millions of followers for our different social media channels, work on an ecosystem partnership area we've got around 8,000 projects already built on Polygon now. So a lot of our work is around helping projects partner with others in the space, growing their ecosystems and becoming very strong Web3 projects within our overall Polygon ecosystem.
Great. 100 million, and of course 8,000 projects on the Polygon network itself. That is an awesome achievement, and of course we know that, right, because all of us have actually interacted with Polygon as well, and I think that is actually crazy just to imagine how far Polygon has come, right? Great, fantastic. Thanks for the introduction, Steven.
Thanks.
No problem. Let's go with Linikol, because we were talking about more of their company, so the audience here will have more context about what their protocol does and how would that benefit to the users, right? Linikol, Prashant, right? Could you expand slightly more deeper about the company and of course the protocol and to the community here?
Sure. So we have two core products. First is our Meta Wallet, and which is sort of our solution to the pain points which Metaverse and Web 3.0, just Web 2.0 is facing, and others are Metaverse in our game. So for first, I think I will be introducing the pain point that we have studied in the market. First is accessibility is marred with the barriers. Like it's really hard for users to join a Web 3.0. You need to create a wallet, remember the phrase, and you can't just log in from like any device that you want to. You just need to the whole detail. The second is the lifetime value and high churn rate of the users in the metaverse. For instance, we all remember the downfall of Xe, how it took a major dive in like recent past because it couldn't just retain the customers, and the reinvestment by users was pretty low. Third is limited user base, and like with more and more companies are developing games, but very few companies are actually trying to solve the problem, which is hindering the growth of Web 3.0 and decentralized space in general. So with Meta Wallet, we are solving that. It is a bridge between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. It allows you to use your social media identity to create a wallet. You just need to make one click and your Web 3.0 identity is linked to your social media identity. Then you can open any game that you want or access any Web 3.0 content you want with just one click, be it from your Discord, be it your Telegram, or any social media app that you can think of. For our second product, which is Survival, it's a metaverse game. It is essentially a 2D pixel art based game, and it has a very heavy emphasis on narrative. It's had narrative and creating a unique player experience, and it's pretty light, as we do not think that its current infrastructure on the Web 3.0 is mature enough to handle games like how should I put Genshin Impact. We want to make something like Angry Bird, which can appeal to a lot of users and masses, and we can just make them move from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. And also for Web 3, for our Meta Wallet, I would like to add that our solution is akin like when you access Microsoft and Linux offers you many more choices and options which you can use, and same goes for Android versus iOS. This Android gives you so many much features, but still people prefer Microsoft, and we want to bring the convenience of Windows to the Linux with our Meta Wallet.
Great. Thanks for the introduction. Very detailed on the two products, right? The wallet and of course the metaverse, ecosystem that you are trying to build, right, with Tristan. Um, let's invite somebody from like Huobi Research Department, Stefanie. Maybe Stefanie, you could explain a little bit more about what Huobi Ventures, no, sorry, Huobi Research is actually doing. What is your day-to-day things to do at Huobi Research, and what is Huobi Research is actually doing to encourage more, in Web3, right? Could you tell us a little bit more on that, Stefanie?
Yes. We have done many research about the projects like DeFi and NFT or GameFi, and we also have many reports and give many deep opinions about the blockchains like layer 1 blockchains or layer 2 solutions. Just before we have all researches about the Polygon and their dedicated solutions. So we are our institute is very near the market, and we are going to build our institute, and we are very like to hear other projects their new roadmaps and their new technology or ecosystem building.
Thanks, Stefanie. Okay. Thanks everyone for the introduction. I think the community would actually, I'm sure that the community will have a lot of questions for the panel here today. But you do the Q&A after we deep dive everything. So let's kick things off, right, by going a little bit more about our topic today. We are talking about Web3, right? Of course, later building within the Polygon ecosystem. Maybe, I would just ask the panelists here today from Jeral, Stefanie, of course, Steven, and of course, Linikol, about what is your definition of Web3, right? And, what is your point of view about the differences between Web2 and Web3? Of course, I know that all of us are expert here, right? But we know that not everyone understands, and everyone would have a different interpretation and definition of what is Web3 about. Maybe we can start with from Jeral from DeFiner. Maybe you can could you tell us a little bit more from your point of view? What is your definition of Web3, and of course the differences between Web3 and Web2?
Okay.
You're on mute. Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's a great question. And for me, basically, Web3 is the decentralization aspect and the empowerment aspect of the internet, of the web. And pretty much, I think like the main difference between what we see today as Web 2 and Web 3 is that with Web 3, people have the custody of their own data and the ownership, so to speak, of who they are on the web without being in a way, how can I say this, commercialized or monetized by third parties. What we see today with Web 2 and is the conventional way that the internet has developed or and connections over the world is pretty much it's been that aspect of centralization. And why do I say centralization? Even though it's a web right across the world, but who is in charge of or owner of those servers that are providing that data exchange between points around the world? And we see that there's a big centralization around companies and corporations surrounding that, and they owning in a way our personal data, right? So with Web3, in my opinion, is taking that back to actually the users who will ultimately become the owners, as I said, of their own data and do what they please online. And with all these integrations coming up and all the dApps or decentralized apps that we're seeing that are integrating with Web2 interfaces and bridging that gap between Web2 and Web3, more and more people are joining and growing this space. So that is, I guess that is my take on Web2, Web3, and the difference between them.
Thanks. Definitely, we're gonna. I'll follow up the question after this, but I just want to get everyone's point of view first. Nicole, from Tristan. Nicole, what is your take on this definition of Web3, and of course, in whatever you're trying to do at the metaverse and the wallet, and versus like Web2, right? Could you expand and give your point of view about your definition of Web3?
Yeah, sure. So, from what I understand, Web 3.0 is a broad set of idea which merges decentralized internet space and offers a more robust internet, and where data and world are linked closer than ever thanks to machine learning and AI. I think broad theme in upcoming year will be about transparency and control over your data as people start to realize the value that their data have, how they can monetize it. Well, if you see in a common thing in like recent time, the government has been a lot of countries are realizing the value of this data and are aiming to localize data. Like there was conference in Budapest on this, and I think this is just my general view that Web 2.0 and 3.0 will coexist in their own space and niche.
Okay. Thanks. Very short introduction. Yeah, but of course, ownership and data. Yeah, we know that that is crucial for the participants of Web3 to understand that for the first time ever, we as a participant for Web3 able to have some kind of ownership and control over our data, and that is actually precious, right? Over to you, Steven. I guess you we have spoken to like hundreds of projects, right? Give us your insights.
Yeah, thanks. And I've been enjoying this so far, and everyone else's aspects of what they see Web3 sounding quite similar. So sounding good. From my area, it's quite simple. It's giving the ownership and the value back to users rather than a centralized repository. And that's done via the internet and with the use of blockchain now. We're seeing from our side, one of the strongest use cases is in the gaming space because it's providing a lot of utility with owning those. What the biggest area now we're seeing is NFTs, and gaming is now offering a very strong opportunity to be able to actually use these NFTs to be able to grow value via play to earn or via play to earn gaming. And then we're seeing that the strength of that is if you're putting a lot of time and effort into some of your favorite games, if you can move that value from one to the other, or even in some of these third world countries, earn a full-time living out of playing games, it's kind of everyone's kid's dream job, really, isn't it? So yeah, for us, it's quite simple that we're moving the value and shifting that back to the users rather than a centralized Web2 company.
Definitely. I will definitely ask you a little bit more deeper on that. But I would like to get Stefanie to chip in first. So Stefanie, maybe you can chip in your definition on like the Huobi Research perspective. Like how is this, I got to say this, right? Huobi is a kind of like an exchange, centralized exchange, right? but we are still trying to figure out and foray into the Web3, into the decentralization perspective. But I just want to get some Stefanie's mind about from the Huobi point of view and from her point of view, how is Web3 disrupting Web2 and potentially even disrupt Huobi owns ecosystem, right? Over to you, Stefanie. What are your thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with other guys, and I think in Web3, our data, our identity, and our intellectual properties, are back to our own and not on other centralized companies. So I think these parts are very important in Web3. And because of blockchain's decentralized characteristics, so we have the chance to build the Web3 world. Yeah, because we have already some some projects like NFT and metaverse projects that can rebuild our identity in the Web3 world, and we build projects and involved in the projects, and our properties will be protected by the decentralized protocols. So we think that this is Web3, and that's why Web2 is cannot compete with Web3 in these 3 points.
Thanks, Stefanie. That's just trying to say, right? Even Huobi, we are disrupting ourselves. Can you imagine that? Well, we got to stay with the flow, right? And that is the future of Web3 and the decentralization, right? Through the access and ownership of data to more participants and users, right? Steven, I want to give back to you. When you mentioned about this is it's great, right? Because we can see that more and more people will be able to participate in this. That's what you're mentioning about the use cases on that. But one thing that I wanted to point out, right, and I wanted to bring this in to get some of the participants here, the panel here, right, to give some of the input is there was an outreach, I think several months ago, talking about some of the countries around the world unable to access to the application through MetaMask because of their node connecting to the Web3 are actually located in United States. And it's just that United States thinks that they want to sanction one specific country to be able to access the blockchain, and then they stop those nodes from able, because they are located in the US, to be able to interact with some of the decentralized application, right? Even on MetaMask itself, through MetaMask, right? Steven, do you have anything to add into that? About there are some semi-centralization happening, on these nodes happening on the decentralized world.
Yeah, I think there'll be some areas of centralization or somewhere in the middle happening purely because of government regulation. We've seen it time and time again. Every wave, when the prices go too crazy, retail investors get too much attention, and then ultimately on the way down they can lose a lot of money, and then regulations want to step in more and more. So we've seen this over time and time again now within the crypto waves. But there's always, users are always finding new and interesting ways to get around that, to be able to deal with it. And a lot of people believe that this regulation will be actually good for the industry, to be able to give comfort and security to the next, hopefully, 1 billion people moving into Web3. So there's 2 ways to look at it. Do we want all of the freedoms, or do we think some regulation is good to be able to help onboard new users into a more regulated, potentially comfortable environment? But even with China, how many times have they announced that they've banned crypto yet? I mean, you can't ban the same thing 3 or 4 times, yet somehow they keep announcing that they're banning crypto. So I think it's people keep figuring out new ways to still be able to get around it and use crypto if they really want to.
Of course, I'm sure, that's what the power of crypto is, right? That, more and more people will be able to, get over that centralization of, the telecommunication, by using VPNs, by setting up a node at the overseas, including mining as well, right? We know that is happening. That is what Web3 is all about, right? Able to able to have more inclusive, and of course you remove the centralized point of failure for that. I went to deep dive a little bit more into Polygon Studio, because I think that is the next section I wanted to get into, because there's a lot of audience here. I mean, a lot of them are from my own network as well, from my own startups. So just want to dive in a little bit deeper into like our questions that we have prepared. How does, I mean, you mentioned that Polygon Studio is related to Web3 and more about getting more, the next 1 billion people on board, right, through Polygon. Could you tell us a little bit more on the Polygon's focus for 2022? What are the vertical on like under these, maybe your department or others, and the focus, right? So that the community could able to get more understanding about Polygon network and Polygon Studio.
Yeah. So at Polygon, you need to go back to the initial aim. Is Polygon is purely built to be scaling Ethereum. So originally it was the POS sidechain or commit chain. However, we've now spent over $2 billion on ZK solutions, which are the next iteration of scaling Ethereum. These are going to be coming out live this year. They're very much what we see as the next level of scaling, and also what the Ethereum Foundation have said that ZKs are the next layer of scaling that is going to be really pushing the use case of Ethereum. So there's some of the big areas within the tech space. We've also just launched Polygon Edge, which is where you can spawn your own side chains. We're seeing a lot of use cases for that in gaming, where ultimately the amount of decentralization you have isn't the strongest requirement. It's more high throughput, low cost, and even having a permission chain where you can choose which games come onto your chain. So we've now launched Polygon Edge as well, and that's getting a lot of interest for the gaming space that we're really excited about. On Polygon Studios, it was set up 9 or 10 months ago as the advisory and consulting arm for the NFT and gaming space for Polygon. And that's around assisting developers, onboarding developers, helping them grow into Web3. So that can start with a consulting piece of what are they doing within Web 2, how they should be converting over, what their strategy might be, what the use case is, what the advantages are, working through that with them, and then looking at what of their traditional products could be moved over, which new products might they be interested in building. So after we've done that consulting piece, it then moves on towards what out there in the ecosystem might they want to be using to partner with, to work with on a tooling perspective. So we can make a lot of those introductions. We can help with tech resources, can guide them through that process as well. When they're ready to launch, we've got our in-house marketing team to work on, say, a 3 to 6 month campaign within the Web3 ecosystem, really grow them in that ecosystem to be able to reach a lot of new users. We've got access now, obviously, to all the PR channels, where if it's crypto PR, gaming PR, financial PR, so we can definitely do a large collaboration there. We offer grants and investments in the space to certain projects that we really want to back and get behind. So that's another key point. So for us, it's very much working with developers to see what they're wanting to do in Web3, guide them through that process, and help them have a successful launch onto Polygon.
Fantastic. You have mentioned like cover so many information here, right? From like a scaling solution within that Polygon, ZK, and of course you are talking about Edge, sidechain. Very interested. Before we go a little bit more on the specifics that you mentioned, right, about how the community or the other projects, or even like Tristan and DeFiner could actually chip in some questions to you. I would like to understand slightly more on the Polygon Edge, as you mentioned. I mean, I this is the first time I heard of it. Great to have you on board. Now maybe you can use this as an opportunity. Could you explain slightly a little bit more for projects or for developers, if they wanted to do this on like the Polygon Edge? What is it like, and how would it work and benefit to that startups or from that developer by interacting with Polygon Edge?
Yeah, so Polygon Edge is another form of scaling. So as I said, we have the POS chain, the ZK solutions, and Polygon Edge. They're the main three at the moment. We do have other ones out there, but specifically for sort of NFTs and gamings, they would be the main ones. And with Polygon Edge, we see that in the gaming space, if you're looking at having a very large game, you're wanting to much more on-chain transactions. So maybe you're going to be having, between 100,000 or even up to 1 million transactions a day. But if all those transactions aren't very high costs, you're not moving millions of dollars or so on, then the value or the need of having a very decentralized application for security isn't the main requirement. For gaming and other applications, it's how cheap can the transactions be, how fast can they be, and then sometimes it can be both permission or permissionless. So if you want to create your own games network, if you're a large game developer and you want to be able to have a permission system where other games can join your network if you want them to, that becomes an opportunity of running your own chain. So you can set the chain with how much decentralization you want. If you want to run 4 nodes or 100 nodes, and this obviously changes the speed and throughput through your own sidechain. So we're seeing now a lot of game companies have started to review this as an opportunity to be able to have very high throughput in games, have deep on-chain transactions. The benefit of using Polygon Edge is it is an EVM compatible chain. So all of the tech tooling, ecosystem partners that are out there on Polygon and Ethereum, those products can also be used on Polygon Edge. And it will have bridges back to Polygon and Ethereum. So when you're running your games and you have your millions of players on there and they're creating value out of the assets they're creating from your chain, they can then bridge those assets back to Polygon or Ethereum, move them to exchanges, move them to OpenSea, for instance, sell those assets and keep the value. So that's to give a bit of a snapshot of why Polygon Edge is now looking to be a very high opportunity of scaling for the gaming space.
Great. Thanks for the explanation, right? I think later I'll open the floor to more people to ask questions, right? If they want to have more questions related to this, but especially about Polygon Edge, right? I think it's a very good solution. Especially a lot of developers, they'll be like struggling to figure out whether they should have their own chain or whether they just tap onto the existing, layer ones. And of course, then they are thinking about, hey, should we go to layer 2? There's so many things happening, right? And sometimes, having a little bit more clarity of it would actually definitely benefits to the developers or to the projects, right, themselves. One step deeper, talking about like when you mentioned about Polygon Studio, which is the advisory and consultancy, then there's incubation and grant, and of course, then there is support and marketing and access to the investors network. Could you dive slightly deeper on that? How would it work? I mean, I'm just using an example. Right? I mean, of course, I've been investing into a lot of projects too and advice, right? For example, how would a gaming company who have esports would be able to work with Polygon Studio, like either into the Polygon Edge or through the incubation? How would the process works? How would the process work?
Yeah, so esports is a great opportunity or example to talk about. We're working with quite a few. I'm not sure if you've seen 100 Thieves, for instance. That was one of the largest esports organizations out there. They just recently did an NFT drop on Polygon. Would have been about 4 weeks ago now. That process was so smooth that it gave a lot of traditional Web2 users such a easy introduction to Web3. Quite simply, you go to the website, you can create a wallet with 1 or 2 clicks using your email address or Gmail or Instagram as effectively your wallet permission. So, no more requirements of writing down your 12 secret words, storing them under the mattress, losing it, and then not knowing how to get back in, right? So that's some of the areas we're seeing. So for instance, they used a very good solution to be able to have users come in, create an NFT, mint it within 30 seconds, display it on their NFT, in their NFT wallet. And they onboarded, I think, within 24 hours, something like 800,000 new wallets and NFTs minted in 24 hours. So it was a really exciting time. And we're seeing that now in the gaming space, specifically in esports, it's not created around how can the esports team make more money off their users and sell them more products if NFT is a product. They're seeing much more around what can they offer their users through added value, through utility, through use cases, to be able to actually give real utility and acceptance to their users rather than buy more NFTs off me. So that's where we see this moving a lot, where it's how much value and interaction can I give back to my users rather than how much can I take from them. And we're really enjoying that. So now, 100 Thieves did theirs recently. Fnatic in Europe just did their NFT drop on Polygon. They're another very large esports organization. We've got 2 or 3 more in the pipeline that we can't talk about at the moment, but they'll be announcing hopefully this month or next month some very large US teams. So that's in that area. We work with them across either on tech development support, ecosystem support, what they should be doing, how they should be, what type of utility these NFTs can have value for their users, what we're seeing as a growth trajectory in the space, how other of their potential competitors are building out their products within Web3. So all of these areas are how we can look to help the esports organization. We're working also with a group called Yesports, which is an esports NFT marketplace and metaverse. They've already signed up, I think, 8 or 9 leading esports teams to be able to create with them user experiences of NFTs for their users, have a metaverse opportunity there, and then over time be able to give value back via NFTs. And in the esports space, it works so well because both of them are 100% online. So these NFTs can give you things like interactions with your favorite players, training sessions with players, 5-on-5 with your friends versus the best 5 of that team. All of these are experiences that give a great opportunity that lend to Web3 and online.
Oh, great. So we know that there's a lot of opportunities and it's actually quite straightforward to work with Polygon Studio for that. And yeah, as the reason why I brought up esports, right, because this is the next low-hanging fruit, right, whereby you can onboard like, hundreds of thousands and millions of people from like the Web2 space, right, from the gaming space, from like Fortnite, from PUBG, right, all these things are going to bring in so much more users to onboard, right, and all these are extremely our target market in the Web3 space, right, because they might say that, hey, I don't really care about decentralization, I just want to play games, right, but I'm able to own our own data, and of course, being part of the movement, right, and then having ease of onboarding is actually crucial. I think that you nailed everything down, right? I think that Polygon, is going the right direction to figure out how to onboard the next 2 billion customers, right, or the users into Web3.
Yeah.
Yep. I will continue on this conversation about like onboarding 2 billion people into Web3 and of course through Polygon. We would like to get Linikol. I always have difficulty pronouncing name. Right? I'll just call it Prashant, right? From Tristan. Maybe you can onboard, since that you were mentioning about metaverse gaming project, and of course you have your own wallet, that is actually kind of cross chain. Maybe you can expand a little bit more on that. How would that working with Polygon or project? How would you or the company would be able to onboard like the next 2 billion people?
Yeah, sure. So our matter was that, and I think we share a lot of similarity with Polygon on this, where we want to make the transition from Web 2.0 to 3.0 as easy as possible and as convenient, where users should be able to use their Gmail, email ID, or social media to log in, and then they should be able to log in anywhere from without remembering those phrases. But the thing is that if each metaverse were to have like each unique set of trust mechanism where you need to give the authority for them to communicate with the wallet. It would create a trust issue, and our Meta wallet is going to solve this problem by acting as an API between which will allow users from Web 2.0 or anyone to log into any other portal, web metaverse, by just simply one click from their social media. So for our next 2 billion, we are planning on onboarding a lot of users. Our initial set plan is to get from the market share of Web 2 3.0, those who are already familiar with the DeFi space and GameFi space. Then it's our focus is to get the user base from traditional game and Web 2.0 games. For instance, as you can see that that people who play normal games, who are not in there for play to earn mechanism or NFT, who just wish to enjoy the game. We want the Web 3.0 games to be as simple and as easy as this. And we can help Polygon with it by incorporating our solution, MetaWallet solution, into their ecosystem, which would make it much easier to onboard new users.
Definitely, thank you. Great for your sharing. Let's move to the DeFiner, Jeral. Onboarding on the discussion about what Polygon is trying to achieve with the different landscape and different product and different solutions that is available. How would you position DeFiner between your borrowing lending with privacy on Polygon, right? How would that help and to onboard that 1 to 2 billion users? Could you expand a little bit on that from your point of view?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so I've heard the saying that Polygon wants to be kind of like the AWS of the crypto industry. And here at DeFiner, we have a vision as well, as a bigger vision, which is kind of becoming, in a way, the JP Morgan of this space. And when we truly believe that the future of DeFi is multi-chain, and Polygon in a way is helping with the adoption of crypto throughout the whole world. And going back to your question, what I've seen in the crypto space and how we can help with that is first of all the different cycles that there are in the space, right? 2020 with was the year of DeFi. Then we have 2021 NFTs, and then after that metaverse. And what I'm seeing through all of this is that DeFi, and especially DeFiner and its role, is that we will become, or we are becoming, the infrastructure of the entire blockchain / crypto ecosystem. So there will always be demand for DeFi, and people actually, and now focusing on Polygon, we see demand from people to come in, to unlock more capital, to optimize their yields, because ultimately people come to, or many of us who are here in this call or elsewhere, come to this space because they see how the utility, how that benefits them, and a big part of it is DeFi and DeFi lending protocols generating yields, etc. So I think this is as a DeFi lending protocol, it's very versatile, the way that we interact with other projects in this space, and especially with Polygon now that we can help this space grow. I mean, we launched on Polygon, just to give you a background. We launched on Polygon, when was it? A couple of weeks ago, actually, on the day. And just in about a couple of weeks, our TVL has grown to about 2 million and growing and expanding our presence on Polygon and helping those projects that are building cover their needs in terms of financially in the space, and with DeFiner 2.0, that's going to even help them more, as they will be able to create those debt markets for their tokens. So I believe it's a combination of factors, but above all, there is a need. There is a place for DeFi and DeFi lending in any project that is in this space. And I'm glad, you know, my colleague here from Tristan talking about wallets and how they benefit and the integration and the bridge between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. So we're working with wallets as well to make it easier for the users of DeFiner to connect from wherever they are, wherever they may be, to this service. And because ultimately, as you know, our focus is our users, and we go to where they are and make it convenient for them to connect with, you know, Web 3.0 services such as DeFiner and some of the services presented here in this call with my colleague. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jeral. You know, I'll continue, you know, grind you both because two of you are like, you know, working with the Polygon, right? I want to deep one step deeper, right? Both Tristan project, Meta Wallet, and of course the Metaverse space, and of course DeFiner and DeFiner 2.0. You'll be working with Polygon for integrated Polygon. Could I ask you, right? What advice would you have for other developers or other protocols or projects who are actually looking to get on board to work with Polygon? Because two of you have worked with Polygon before. How is the experience like? How is the support like? I want to, you know, Steven, you know, pardon me, right? I want to ask two of them to give us the real experience, right? How is that working with Polygon like, and how would that benefit for more developers or projects to come and work with Polygon? Could Tristan and DeFiner give your point of view?
Yes, of course. That is a great question, and with Polygon, our experience here at DeFiner has been amazing, I would say. Like, they've been there with us at every step of the way. We've been in contact with them since Q3, Q4 of last year, and whenever we've needed some resource, some you know, communication aspects, they've been there along the way. So we've had a great experience with their team. They're very open and collaborative. So that's one of the things that we appreciate about their efforts and the way that they support the projects building on Polygon. I mean, at least in our case, they've been there for us. We've also had the privilege to work with the Polygon Ecosystem DAO, and we've been recipients of a Polygon grant as well, and all throughout that process from inception of the way up to this point, and the way that things are managed in the Polygon side, I mean, I take my hat off. You know, it's been a great experience in terms of, you know, reporting, accountability, and just that being present. You know, that their team has been there. So that's has been our experience on the Polygon ecosystem. So does that answer your question, or am I missing something?
I mean, it's not about me, right? It's more about the communities and the users here who follow, and they might want to learn something from you. That is actually what the space is about, right? It's not only about us talking, right? We want to share some of these wisdoms that you guys get, so that they were like, hey, okay, I can follow you guys, what you guys are doing for partnerships and interact and, you know, get access and understand more about working together with Polygon, right? And network studios marketing. I think that is what the value we can provide to the community. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. And to kind of follow up on that is, I would say to the community here and wherever you may be is, I think that a piece of advice would be getting the connection, the networking right, and just being able to, if you don't have direct contact with a member of the Polygon team, just networking through other projects which have that contact, and that will make your life so much easier. And once you are in contact with their team, then whole world of opportunities will open up. Like in our case, even our dev or tech team has been in touch with them, and they've been able to provide with the right tools and the information necessary for us to deploy to do the integration successfully. So I think a big part of it is just that networking aspect of having that connection and communication clearly defined with the team and getting there through other means.
Thanks. Maybe Tristan, maybe Prashant, from Tristan, maybe you can chip in more about the relationship and how do you guys work with Polygon experience like?
Yeah, we had a meeting with Polygon like few months back, and ever since then we have been in contact with them, and we have something really special plan for them in our group, in our common group, and they have been really supportive so far. They are rather successful layer 2 solution, offer low gas fee and really great scaling solution. And as we develop in future, we are looking for the more solutions that they bring after Ethereum moves to 2.0. And beside Polygon ecosystem growing rapidly and offers a lot of support, be it on marketing front, technical front, or just for like making connections. And we can say that many GameFi projects are working very well on Polygon. We hope we can develop and progress together with the Polygon ecosystem.
Great, thanks. Maybe on Stefanie, right? I just want to loop in Stefanie. Of course, we are from Huobi Research, but Stefanie, maybe you can chip in on this, right? I mean, I know it's not really exactly because of Polygon, but do you have any experience from your side? Working with a protocol like Polygon Studio or Polygon projects. Is there any input that you want to add in?
Yeah, we know that Polygon is EVM compatible, and there are more than 7,000 protocols have been deployed on it. And we noticed the top 10 TVL projects are 7 of them are multi-chain deployments. So I think the EVM compatible is very essential to the Polygon ecosystem. And so but the few of the projects in Polygon are native projects, so we expect to see more native projects on Polygon. But yeah.
Thanks, Stefanie. Yeah, thanks, Stefanie. So, I want to ask one more question specifically to Tristan and, of course, to DeFiner. Let's go to Tristan first. You were saying that I look at the Twitter account and your protocol. Could you let me know how do you differ from other metaverse project? Could you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So compared to our main competitors or project in Metaverse, we have wider coverage. Like our market covers both Web 2.0 and 3.0 user, as our team has taken a rather innovative approach of developing the game as instant DApp instead of web-only game, so anyone can play it from anywhere, be it your Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Facebook. We have made it easier than ever to get into the game. With just one touch, you can launch it anytime. So it's like a go-to game which you can play with. You don't need to be dedicated to it, so it drastically increases our player base, and we have a better engagement from players to creator. Interesting ecosystem, players, creators, and investors are 3 actors at the center of the stage. As a creator, you can make your own story or instance or dungeons for other players, and you can get rewarded that way and earn NFT. It also ensures a steady supply of fresh content, which most of the games don't offer. Like you can see the updates with the XA have been pretty slow, and their user retention has suffered because of that too. And our metaverse has 3 focuses. First is lower the entry barrier, make the game as accessible as possible, which we are solving with our meta wallet, and to promote social interaction compatibility across the various chains like Polygon, Matis, Binance Smart Chain, and to improve the life cycle, long life cycle and churn rate of users. For a longer lifetime value and low churn rate of users, we have put heavy emphasis on narrative and art style, and our selling point is the fun and experience that we offer, and not the play to earn theme, which has been a selling point for most of the blockchain based game lately. I think in-game economy is very important here, which a lot of games miss the mark, and is dictated by is dictated by external factors like price action of token. And one way which which separates us from others is that we are not limited to one game. We are rather a platform, and you have various other games which are, and we will keep them regulated, and there will be more products in our portfolio to keep the price action and game tokenomics in balance. It essentially ensures reinvestment for users who are already in our game.
Right, thanks, Tristan. We have one question from the audience. Let's give some questions time to Misu Basa. Hold on, let me accept your request. Yes. Hey, Misu Basa. I think you can now speak. I'm connecting you to the chat here. Can you listen to us, Misu Basa? You are now a speaker. You have any questions that you want to ask to the panel? Mitsubasa? You are on mute. You are a speaker, but you're on mute. I cannot listen to you.
Hello, can you help me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah, maybe you can ask your questions to the panel here.
Okay, my question is for most people, the main focus of any crypto community is on the price of the token. When price go up, people are happy. When they go down, people start to leave. What is the team plan to strengthen and grow a loyal community, and how do you trust us investor? Thank you.
Who are you asking about this question? Are you asking it to general, any one of us, or are you asking to any specific project here? Mitsubasa?
Hello.
Are you asking to any specific person here, or are you asking to any of the project here, or just any random questions?
Okay. Okay, my question is community support is one of the biggest aspect of a project success. Most projects
Yep.
have programs that interact with their user. What are your specific plans to attack or expand the community and improve the user experience? And does your current project take into account the various input and demands of your community? Thank you.
Okay. Any of the panelists here, Tristan, DeFiner, anybody want
I'm
to
happy
reply?
to give it a try.
Yep, Steven, go
Sure.
ahead.
Yeah, the line was a little bit broken, so I'm not sure if I caught all of it, but essentially it was around what projects, what are the, trying to almost find some alpha in projects, it's sounding like. So from our side, we look at very much around the team that's building out the project is a very big opportunity or red flag. Another key consideration is the type of funds or investments that have already been put into the project. And crypto is always, inherently risky. It's much more volatile than any other market out there. But I think you're doing a lot of research around the team, what their success has been in the past, how credible they are to not be effectively a rug pull is a lot of the things that we look at. We want to just back really good teams that have done great projects in the past or have been from very successful startups or leading firms before, and they're wanting to jump over and join Web3. So I think that's a lot what we look at. And then the next stage would be who else is looking to invest in them, what relationships they've managed to build with other projects and well-recognized investors or other projects in the space.
Thanks, Steven. I think you covered it very well. So let me recap, right? I think that to answer Mitsubasa, basically what Steven and ourselves at Huobi, I think most probably we are looking at like strong teams, right? We want to ensure that there's no red flags about this project is actually a rug project or a scam project, right? Actually, we do not want to associate ourselves with that because there are too many projects who just come on board, do not care about their users, and then of course they just manipulate the token price, and then everyone will suffer because of that. And that is actually not only from investor point of view, but it's also from the brand name point of view of Polygon and Huobi. So you ask us, this is actually something that we take very seriously. We do not want to actually have a project that is come on board, without knowing who are they, and then what they have on board is just to make quick money, right? For us, I think experience, crypto entrepreneur and Web3 entrepreneur, Web3 projects, and people who have been dealing with this, right? We have seen too much projects. We know which project are there to scam and which project are there to build for long term. Some projects knows how to sell, but they do not have a good tag and they don't understand about building a very sustainable community, sustainable token model, and that is actually something that will create a downfall for their project in the short term. And of course, then the community will FUD FUD, and then after that, they'll just leave the community and leave a very bad impression on the project and the protocol, and of course, Polygon and Huobi as well. We rest assured, I think none of us here doing these things right are actually for short term. I think all of us, the panel here, are long term believers, and we believe in the long term, the success of Web3 to bring more people into here. We are not here to scam and to make money from everyone else, right? I doubt that is our objective, right? We do not need to do so. But I think a piece of advice for you, Misubasa, just do not chase after the quick money because, people want to get rich quick, right? They are saying, hey, I want to go to the moon. But who is the one that's going to suffer? You think the project or the investors? No, it's the retail investors. So stay, research and do your own due diligence, verify, look at all of this information and make that decision. Do not invest just because there's an influencer who create a FOMO and ask you to buy the token because he will go to the moon. Because nobody in the same mind who are doing for long term focus on that. So I think that is the advice that even from Huobi Incubator, or I can speak behalf of the panel too, like Steven, right? That we are looking for long term. We do not look for short term, and that applies to retail investors too. I hope that answer your question, Misubasa. Thanks for asking a very specific question.
Okay,
Any of
thank
you?
you.
Yep. Okay. Thanks for giving up the question. Let's go just now from DeFiner, and just now we were talking about what are the differences between the metaverse project from Tristan, maybe from Jeral perspective, DeFiner, right? How I want to understand a little bit more, right? I was researching a little bit more about the project. We're talking about, DeFiner 2.0, the boring landing, you reach to 2 million TVL. Tell us more. How is this different from any other landing protocol for the community here with the privacy? And what are your roadmaps and your plan for the rest of the 2022? So the community here will understand a little bit more about your project for the 2022, the roadmap.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So I think two things right now. Our focus is cross-chain and DeFiner 2.0, as you just mentioned. And going to what makes us different from other DeFi lending protocols in the market. I would like to emphasize first that we have an aggregator function of sorts which pretty much means that whenever we have idle funds, our smart contract auto deploys that unused capital into a secondary debt market, because we act more like a bank, and in a way that that Aave / Compound, they're more like money markets on this space. So when banks have those idle assets, they deposit them into money markets. So that's just one observation, because when you go into our app at app.definer.org, you'll see that our APRs are slightly higher than other DeFi lending protocols out there, and also you get the fin token, which contributes to those yields, because users are compensated in kind, both in kind and in fin tokens. So that also contributes to that. But going back to your question as well about what makes us different in DeFiner 2.0, I besides what I've mentioned already about the product, with that configurability DeFiner that I haven't really covered, but users with DeFiner 2.0 will come in and will be able to create that lending market or debt market for their tokens, but based on different factors, right? You have the risk models, the interest rate models, the Oracle models that they'll be able to configure based on the needs of their community. So we're very user community centric, and we want to make sure that the projects have the right tools that they need, right, to incentivize their community. So a part of that is liquid / locked staking in the near future, but as part of the roadmap that we have, especially with DeFiner 2.0, this year we have the launch of our smart contract factory pretty soon on DeFiner 2.0, which is basically that projects will be able to create that debt market, right, for their tokens, even those long tail assets. But later on in the year, we will release the second phase or stage, which is that configuration, a configured child pool creation, where that's when we will enable anyone to create those pools, and based on different parameters that they'll have the option to choose. So it's giving that going back to Web 3.0 and people having ownership of their own assets, their own data. That's going to give projects, both established projects in the DeFi or crypto space in general, and also retail, to create those debt markets depending on their needs. Later on the roadmap, we also are contemplating ERC 721, like NFT asset-backed loans. So that is something that we're working with, internally with our dev team, and also in collaboration or cooperation with other, Oracle type projects in the market to make sure we get that right. Because many of us here, we're very familiar with NFTs, and how about using your NFT as collateral, right? To unlock more capital for yourself, and use it to maximize your efficiency in this space. So that's also being contemplated and a part of the roadmap of DeFiner 2.0. And yeah, part of it, having internal balance transfers, and that's where the privacy function comes in, and acting like our smart contract acting as a black box between sender and receiver. So that's part of all of that, part of that basic DeFiner 2.0 development in the near future. So 2022, first half of 2023, and then we'll have after that what we call a booster stage of DeFiner 2.0, which will include that privacy feature. We want to get into secondary debt markets a lot more and explore that area, and even term and fixed rate loans. So those are all part of the roadmap for DeFiner 2.0. So that's our main differentiator, and I would invite everyone to stay tuned, and because our devs are have our first stage of the product almost ready for release. So we'll be announcing a few things in the near future. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeral. I think we are pushing to the 1.5 hour mark, which is very fantastic, for everyone to support on the panel here. DeFiner, Tristan, maybe you can, just briefly mention about how does the community find you? Because at the end of the day, you want people to find you, understand more about what you do, including Polygon as well, but Polygon should be easier. But, Tristan and DeFiner, could you, just mention how does this community find you? Tristan? DeFiner? Yep.
Sure, I'm here. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can reach out to us. We have our here on Twitter at DeFiner.org, and also you can find us on Telegram, or we have a big Telegram community there. If you have any questions or follow-ups later on, so we can find us on Telegram as DeFiner. So at DeFiner. And also Discord. We have our Discord channel that you can also come there and join our community on Discord. So yeah, you can find us there and stay tuned for more updates.
Thanks. How about you, Tristan?
You can head over to our website or Twitter, and we also have Discord and Telegram channels, which are pretty active and a lot of users, where you can share your views, learn more about the project, or just hang and chill around till you are sure that you're going to be part of us, or just that. And we have a lot of things back in the near future, with new product launches and new roadmap, which we'll be making public very soon. Hope to see you guys there.
Thanks, Tristan. Steven, anything from you to wrap up? How does the community reach out to you, Polygon?
Yeah, love for everyone to reach out. There's so many ways. So we've got our own Discord communities, obviously. We've got Ecosystem DAO where you can get involved there. Polygon Studios, we're very active on Twitter now. I've only just started on Twitter, so I'd love if everyone wants to come over and follow me and get involved. That'd be great. And otherwise, you can send me an email, steven@polygon.technology or info@Polygon Studios. Would love to chat with you. We'll set you up with someone from my team to work with you and to grow your project on Polygon.
Definitely. Thanks, Steven, for giving out the info. So for the community, everyone here, if you're a builder, if you are startup, feel free to reach out to any of the startups here, and of course Polygon Studio. And I'm sure that Steven will be more than happy, right, just to talk to you. If you are building legit product, if you are doing scam, please do not reach out. If you are building legit products, Web3 products for a long run and want to onboard 1 billion new customers together with Polygon, DeFiner, Tristan, and of course with Huobi Incubator, reach out to us. We'll definitely be there to actually listen to the proposition and your solution.
And Huobi and Victor and the team, thank you very much for setting this up. I've really enjoyed it and it's been excellent.
Thanks, Steven. Right. Thanks everyone for joining. One last thing. Before we end this, I know that there are some giveaways and stuff. And the team has already selected all these winners and stuff. Wait for us, and then we will just tweet it out on the Huobi Incubator Twitter channel. The Twitter tweets. You follow that, then we actually announce the winners there, right? Then you can see that who actually win something, good questions, and participative on the tweet itself. Then the community will reach out to you. The community team of Huobi Incubator will reach out to you for these winners. Right. Thanks, Steven. Thanks, Jeral, and thanks, Prashant, Tristan, DeFiner, Stefanie, Steven. Good to have you on board today with us today. And catch you up with everyone next time.